Greetings, programs. This is Let's Code a Full 90. We'll take the next hour and a half and work together and try to make our part of the world a little bit of a better place. I'm your host, Rob Menching. This is episode 24, and we're continuing our work in the Wix toolset. Last week was a little bit bumpy. I thought it was going to be a pretty straightforward fix, and we'd maintain our fix rate of 3 bugs per 90 minutes or 1 bug per 30. And well, yeah, that didn't work at all. So, we're going to pick up right where we left off. So, where was that? That is in the remote payload should not allow hash information to be specified with certificate information. So, it essentially comes down to several error checks and things like that we're trying to get. And one of the things that tripped me up as we were writing the tests at the end of, I think, getting most of the error checks in, or getting all of the error checks in, I hope, was that the testing was not working out well. nCrunch was not working for me, which is my preferred way of running all the tests. And then Test Explorer was not finding the tests, and I generally don't enjoy dealing with Test Explorer. And it was not a good time. But I have good news. I have nCrunch working again, and we can see that here because this is nCrunch over in the corner. I know it's a little small, but all those little red X's are the things we're going to try to get rid of. Just a quick update on what the problem was. If you remember, and you probably don't because it was a very small thing at the end, but the Wix toolset core test package was failing to build inside nCrunch. And it was very mysterious, and I was originally blaming it on the fact that there are warning messages about the Git repo not being able to be found and things like that. None of that actually mattered because all the projects have that. The issue is that, or the issue was with nCrunch, is that Wix toolset core test package is kind of it's a helper library that lets us do a bunch of tests, or makes it easier for us to write tests against the core toolset, mostly downstream from the Wix layer. So it's easy for, hey, just tell the compiler to build this and that and those kinds of things. Well, it has, as part of that testing, it has asserts in it that use the XUnit assert assembly. So it, you could say, verify this for me, and inside it will use the standard XUnit asserts. Well, it turns out nCrunch sees the XUnit assert and go, oh, this must be a test project, and therefore tries to start running it as a test project. And there's actually documentation, had I read the little link at the end of the error message, that when you get to the very bottom of the documentation, there's one line saying, and if you have a project that is not actually a test project but depends on test assemblies, then just tell nCrunch that this is not a test project. And so I did that, and poof, everything started working. And immediately we were left with these 4 errors, which is infinitely better than what I was dealing with inside the Test Explorer. I think the big difference, and I know this sounds like a plug for nCrunch, but I if you're writing managed code, I firmly think that this nCrunch is absolutely worth the price that you pay for it. And I just buy licenses for all the devs at FireGiant that want them. So FireGiant just buys them for them. But the thing that I love about nCrunch the most is that I feel like it gives me a really nice heads up view of what the issue is and the error message. And I know the Test Explorer can do that kind of stuff, but the fact that it's always up to date with these indicators here on the left, which I know the Visual Studio Live unit testing is supposed to be able to get in there, but I've had a lot of troubles getting it to work. And this is a very minor detail, but the live unit testing feels like it takes up a lot more of the side space here. So a lot of this is just personal preference of nCrunch, but also it works really, really well to say, hey, here's the things that are wrong. And it really made my life. I realized how much I missed it. So it's working. That makes me happy. And we're going to pick up where we left off of trying to get all these error messages in place, or fix the error messages, and generally get the code sorted out for all the things that we added and maybe broke and otherwise didn't. So I was looking at this one here off the top, and it said, hey, we're missing one line, and that line, so the expected is missing one line, and there was an extra line, which actually kind of makes sense based off the code that we were writing, that when we have the exit package, certificate public key was not found, and then the the XC package hash attribute cannot be specified when the attribute certificate thumbprint is present. So let's go look at this guy, and this will be a quick way to look at what we are looking for. And I'll just jump over to this file. There. See, already I feel more at home. Very quickly found the error and where I'm supposed to be going. Anyway, I know it's just me. All right, so this says has specified hash and certificate public key. All right, so this test is doing exactly that. So the issue is that one, when you have a certificate thumbprint, you must also have the certificate public key value, and also you cannot have a hash now. That's actually one of the primary purpose of this entire fix. So it turns out that because there is a hash, and that's part of the test, we get two error messages. We get one that, hey, you're missing the public key, and two, you're missing the hash. So the fix is to add the missing error message about the hash. And there we go. And Crunch will now run and tell me that it still doesn't work. Oh, all right. So 10. Oh, okay, the exit code. Right. So the exit code is set in Wix to the last error. You could debate that maybe we should be set to the first error. The last error was XC package was not found. And this one now is cannot be specified when an attribute is present. So that's going to be the other one. I'm going to jump over to Visual Studio Code and have it find me that error real quick. Yep. Illegal attribute with other attribute. Yep. This is in the standard error messages. There are lots of different ways of saying the same thing with different number of attributes. And the number for it is 35. And I hope that's what this number was here. Yep, 35. Great. So the test changes. Last error message is number 35. And we're off to the races with that one being done. I hope. Yeah, there's no more lines in here. Woohoo. That's awesome. That makes me happy. All right. Let's look at this one. Error specified. This. Okay. Specified certificate public key without thumbprint. Right. So this specified the public key without the thumbprint. Now, should we have another check for the hash? So let's remove the hash from this test, I think. Where did we put this test? Specified without thumbprint. And I have to remember, was that one of the ones that we added? Because I don't want to change the test if it's not one of the ones that we added, probably. Certificate. Specified certificate public key without thumbprint. That doesn't look like one of the ones we just added. All right, then I won't change the test, I won't change the data, because that probably means it's here. Let's search for it, see how many places this case is used. No, there's only one. This one. I'm inclined, since we have the other one checking the hash and this one doesn't mention the hash in the name, I'm inclined to remove the hash as part of the test data to get that other case covered, kind of. All right, let's see. And that test now passes because it's not looking for the hash. Check. That's fantastic. Continuing our way through. The XE package, okay, failed with 35. Let's go look at this. Ah, okay. So this test can specify XE package payload with certificate. All right, so this is supposed to pass. Let's go find this file and go see what he's all about. Ah, right. So he's supposed to pass. That means he can no longer have the hash. So we take that off. And that test is passing. Can specify XE package payload with certificate. Can't have a hash. Have to have all those other pieces of information. Woohoo! All right. Remote payload fixture. Now, I left a message, a note to myself in our to-do about the remote payload fixture last time because I spent entirely too many minutes. Yes, too many minutes. I spent too many minutes, yes, looking at this test thinking that it was going to have something to do with remote payloads as a concept in the compiler and the bundles and all that kind of stuff, when actually all it had to do with was the purpose of it was actually to test the burn remote payload subcommand. And so I want to rename this test. The more I think about it, the more I want to rename it, probably to burn remote payload subcommand fixture, so that I will always know and remember that that's the purpose of this fixture in the future. And it does not have really anything to do with the burn remote payloads. Now, at the same time, because we've made these changes, the remote payload subcommand in burn would gather all the pieces of data off of a signed exe and create the WXS code for you. And the issue is that as part of that gathering, it would get the hash of the file, because in the past, you were expected to have a hash for the certificates when specifying certificates. And now we do not want that. So we need to go in and update the remote payload subcommand so that it plays by the rules, our new rules, which is remote payload should not allow hash information to be specified as certificate information. And actually, while we're here, let's bring this thing up and we'll bring up the issue. Yes. I had a little cheat sheet last week we did this. I should have put that cheat sheet in here so I don't have to keep remembering it, but I feel like I've got it mostly loaded in my head. This should go faster. All right. So the size is required for hash verification, and for certificate verification, the size is optional. Okay, but the cache ID is required. So for certificate verification, the cache ID is required along with the public key things. All right, so that's important. We have to remember that cache ID is required, which makes sense because the remote payload actually in the past would use the remote payload subcommand essentially said, here, I'm putting the hash on here because we're going to use it as a cache ID, which is the whole root of this issue. So that's like the final piece of the puzzle, is that that's the thing we've changed it the most, is that we're not going to use the hash as a cache ID. Visual Studio Code looks like Windows XP. See, now you're throwing me totally off. It does kind of look like XP. I didn't do that. That's just default Visual Studio Code in this theme. But anyway, where was I? Hash verification. Hashes, it is kind of cool though, now that you mention it. Yeah, it kind of acts like it too. This button doesn't quite have that same dip in it. Nostalgia. All right, and then hash verification. Hash, of course, is required. Size is optional, and cache ID is optional. Okay, let's go bebop over to our failing command. Yeah, so this is get remote payload with a certificate. And this is getting back. So what are we doing? We're running the burn subcommand, so burn remote payload, and it is generating this code, and I think we got it kind of to the spot where we wanted it to. Yeah, and size, name, except these are not correct. Yeah, cache ID TBD is what I put in there, and the actual doesn't have that. It has the hash still, which we needed to not have. All right, I think let's go jump over to the remote payload subcommand, and we'll go sliding down and see. I went too far. Yeah, so this is where we get hashes, and where do we get? Right, so before we always need hashes, so this code would always do that. Well, all right, harvest file. So where's the certificate part handled? All right, so there's hashes, descriptions down there, it is. So if we have the certificate hashes, let's get them, public key and thumbprint. There they are. And if not is empty, then the hash. Right Okay, so hashes, try to get the value hashes. What are these hashes? Get hashes. Okay. What are certificate hashes? It's not just any hashes, it's the certificate hashes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, if this use certificates, then get those. Otherwise, it'll return an empty things. All right, I'm gonna package certificate hashes. All right, get certificate hashes for those paths. There we go. The certificate hashes read where the paths are, where it's not that, and it's not that. So where the public key and thumbprint are both provided, and an exception did not happen, cool. Then return the hashes by their path so we can look them up. All right, that all seems reasonable. And then where do we pass these in? Here, all right, cool. So then we go down to the individual file, and we call this certificate hashes. There we go. Got it. So now we have certificate hashes. What, did I spell it wrong? Cannot use before it is out. Oh, haha. Right. So this was called certificate hashes. So this is going to be called the file certificate hashes. Guess I could have called this all. I don't know. We'll see. This. What are we calling this thing we're looping over? Yeah, okay, it's fine. Path. Maybe that. Okay. For that path. Great. So we try to get the certificate hashes for this. If we find them, because when we had them on and it turned into it, we do that. Otherwise, else, if the payload symbol has a hash, then we add that to it. All right, so that is our else if. So if we're using certificate hashes, use the certificate thumbprint. Otherwise, we're not using certificate hashes, so add the hash if we have it. And that's actually, I think, required. So where is this set? Payload symbol. Where are you? Payload symbol. Wix bundle payload symbol. Okay. I see. So we use the symbol to call into the core code. Create that and then try to go get all this stuff from here. Jump to the implementation. All right, so if the file was not found, all right, so we could return false, and this doesn't care if it returns false, so it just uses the payload symbol, and that is how you would not have a hash. Okay, I was just looking to see if there's a way we could check and make sure that there's a hash, but this is fine. For the generated code, if we can't find the file and they don't have a hash, then they're getting an error message in the Wix toolset saying, hey, you need to specify a hash. Okay. Now my test here has not improved. That's disappointing. Let's go look at the test a little bit. What is this? Yeah, so burn.exe and then signed cab. So those should both be signed files, I hope. Let's go take a quick look at them. In the .data folder, let's open that in Explorer. And then properties on burn.exe. Yeah, all right, so he's not signed, but the signed cab one is, right? Yeah, okay, so only the cab is signed. The exe is not signed. Gotcha. All right, so this test then does need to use a hash for the exe. Where does it go? Wix toolset burn product name description. So after description comes hash. and no cache ID. Okay, I don't. Okay, so then this gave me that certificate and that. Okay, so since we have this, let's do what those other tests were doing. I thought there was at least one test. I was doing a remote payload. No, was that my imagination? I was thinking one of these tests ran a build. Oh yeah, here it is. This guy runs the build from the result. Right. Okay. So, kind of want to run this to see it, for it to catch any mistakes. For example, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to have a cache ID for here, at least be required to have one. Or though, not in this case, because this is a payload of the exe package, so it's going to get the cache ID of the exe. Huh. Oh, certificate hashes for path should be singular. Certificate hash for path. Certificate hashes for path. For path. But it's, so I thought this was called certificate hashes because it was, or this one was, before I started it, this was called certificate hashes because it had both the public key and the thumbprint. So that's why it was plural. I think that makes, or we could call it singular, certificate hash for path and then have public key. I mean, I could see why it was called hashes before, so I just tried to maintain that. I could be convinced either way, I guess. Certificate all right, but, okay, go back here. I'm gonna go slide back. Yeah, this was called certificate hashes to start with. That's why I thought, yeah, so this was hashes, and then when you found the one, you got the certificate hashes. So, I mean, we could do this right. Rename, same difference. All right, so this test is interesting here because we're validating the burn exe, and it's gonna go in the cache ID, or it's gonna go in the cache, yeah, and then its payload is signed. So we're using the public key. We're doing authenticate signing or verification of that cab. It's kind of weird. It just makes me wonder if the parent exe package can't be, or if the parent package is not signed, then should any of the children use authenticode based things? The porting from the heat, it should be right in the exe package element as well. Yeah, okay, fine. But why should we allow certificates on the other files? All right, I don't know. Maybe. I guess if you said, here's this thing, I'm gonna get the route payload for this, and some of its files are certificate based, and you said do certificate based, that's what we're doing. Okay, well, let's compile this, follow up this compile. So where did this file, it went to out file. Let's see, can we do Rick's runner, build, not that, path.combine, or I don't need path.combine, I just need out file. That should be the full thing. And I need out.wix Wixlib? I don't know. We'll just do that for now and see how far we get with that. Out Wixlib file. And then let's assert that it's successful. It may not be if we're missing the exe package as suggested. And it's not. Great. Not a valid source file. There are multiple root elements. Oh, right. Because it's just a partial output. Right, of course. We have to wrap it with all the rest of the Wix stuff, which is probably what that other test was doing up here. I think remote payload that read bytes. Oh, wait, all right, did a build. That did a remote payload. Did a remote payload, git test. I guess it didn't do a build after. It didn't build with the output. Okay. All right. Well, it's kind of annoying. It makes this test a bit more tricky to write. I have to generate a file with all of its stuff. Let's see. I have read all of the lines, and this is just string still, so that's good. So let's see. I should be able to do I don't know, just for now, let's see. So I should be able to do, I should be able to put it in fragment, right? So let's see. Can I get the name right? Schemas U4 WXS. Don't write this enough myself to remember. Oh, I need to put them in the middle. Let's see. And fragment. All right, so that's not going to work because I got to put the other lines in the middle. Let's see. Actually, I don't have to put these on separate lines. I could just wrap it all in one. Okay, let's do. That. So I can do fragment, first line, third line, that line. Let's see. I want to join my array of 2 lines with that other line, with the elements. Let's try. No, that's not going to work. Oh, I can put one in. 1. Add the range of the elements. Then lines add the last thing here. All right, hack. Got it done for now. Let's see now. File.write all lines. Close. I'll take that, but it's actually WXS file. Thank you very much. That's close though. Wix runner. This now is the WXS file. Did I get the namespace right? The fragment contains an unexpected child element payload. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, did it really write the payload by itself? Ooh. Yeah, so this is just writing the internal parts. Non-packaged payloads can't be remote till that's yeah, I have that. I have that somewhere else. Okay. All right. Well, is it really spitting them out just line by line? That's much less useful. Where I've lost it now. Yeah, there's the X element. If an XE, right, element is that element name. Oh, is this just the payloads, right, remote payloads not being a thing yet? All right, fine. Let's see. How do we want to do this? Let's go look at you. Nope. Oops, wrong button. All right, my bad. Yes, there. We need a package script too, of course. Yeah, but we don't have this information from the XE. We just have this stuff. Yeah. Remote payload was being simplistic. It was being simplistic. We can be package payload. Is this where I was? Nope. This is where I want to be. So let's add a few more lines. Let's see what this looks like. Single quotes, please. How many more do I need for the compiler to be happy? Close the XE package, close the package group. There we go. Got it. All right, I think we're finally getting to errors that are related to the remote payload stuff. The XE package payload element download URL attribute was not found. It's required when there's no source file. That makes sense. That's an extra switch to the remote payload. Subcommand. Yep. Right there. Download URL. So let's go ahead and add it. So the code we're generating is that much more useful. Download URL will be the verbose one, and we'll call it yeah. Let's see, is that happy? Oh, come on. Interesting. Why is it doing string interpolation on that? I didn't put a pair. All right, great. So we're past the download URL. That's good. Oh, but no, we're not. I'm failing earlier now because I gave these things a download URL, and they're all going to be at the correct place. Yay, download URL. So the XE package bootstrapper comes again after the description. So after the description and before the hash, we put in our download URL. That's great. And I expect I'm going to have to do the same for the payload. Yep. Payload before the certificate. That makes sense as well. And your name is the same name as the file. There we go. Awesome. All right. Pexi package uninstall arguments was not found as required without a permanent present. Aha. And that's why that other test said permanent equals yes, I think. So let's go ahead and will this get us out of a lot more stuff? I guess I could put uninstall arguments on there too. Aha. The detect condition is recommended. Of course it is. Oh, and then there's payload contains the unexpected attributes, certificate public key, certificate thumbprint, and size. And that's the part that Sean was talking about of missing the remote payloads. Guess I could have given uninstall arguments if I have to do all those anyway. All right. Yes. Great. But I think that says, oh no, we got past the payload, the package payload, but because we don't support remote payloads, individual payloads, not the package, remote payloads, not remote non-package payloads. I don't know, what do we call these things? The remote payloads that aren't the package. We don't support them being remote yet. There's a feature, an issue open to do such a thing. This test is kind of borked like this. Well, that's unfortunate. Not quite prepared to jump into that thing. The binder sets the placeholders with stuff. The subcommand is replacing the placeholders. Yeah, it's interesting. Yep, I know. Still not setting a cache ID. That is one of the things that has to happen. Which I'm also... Oh, yes, because I think the issue here is that because we're building a Wix lib. Oh, that's a bummer. I think the cache ID isn't verified until we bind because it's late. Right, so we can't test that case here, at least not without having a full bundle. Although, you know, we're not, how far off are we from a full bundle here? I'm getting pretty close to just going, you know, instead of putting all these things in here, just read a file and replace a comment or something in it with these things. With these parts from the remote payload. All right, well, I don't know that any of our files in here are any of these files signed. So I'm looking through the set of, oh, there is one. Signed, no. None of the files I have in this directory of data things are signed. Oh, there is, the MSU is. Okay. MSU, yeah, so we could switch to the MSU for a bit. We could switch to MSU for a bit. I think the compiler should verify cache ID if they're specified together like this. We could, is it all, I guess we could pass it down if we have it at the time. We could look at that. It's just more code of the same thing, but we could possibly do that. All right, so the MSU, I do have assigned in this data, oh, here, it's right here. In this data folder, this MSU is signed. So that would get us a little bit farther with one file. All right, let's do this. Copy this test real quick. And that's remote payload. Can get package payload with certificate. Let's see. Here I want, it's a big long name. Win8 yada yada yada. All right. So we're gonna have one file now, and we're gonna ask it to use a certificate, and we're gonna have it generates files, and this is now gonna be an MSU package. So this is all different. Okay, let's pin this test. I don't want to lose it. Great. All right, so we should be able to, with this amount, with an MSU pack package. I don't remember how much I need for an MSU package. Probably not all that. And then an MSU package here. I should be able to build a little bit further. At least I can get all the way through the compiler successful. And then I could put a skip on this guy until the remote payload is implemented and then fix up that thing that way. So we don't have to lose what we've done thus far. And we will make some progress. All right, so this is an MSU. All right, this one's gone. This is an MSU package. The name is this big long name. Don't think we're gonna have a product name or a description anymore. Nope, just the download URL. And the download URL is that big long name again. Although, yeah, that's a good point. Why is it replacing this now? That's strange that it's, oh, what the? All right. Uh-oh, this is getting the hash still. Or am I looking at the right one? Yes. The size is correct. Wait. Oh no, here it is. Okay, good. No, I'm looking at the old data. Too small. Okay, good. That, and then get rid of this version. Great. And I'm going to trust that it's giving me this thumbprints correctly. Whoops, did I not copy? Close, no cigar. Boom. All right, that's close. I'll do it. MSU package payload expected. This, it says I left the hash ID. All right, let's look at this. Public key, certificate thumbprint. Oh, it did leave the hash. And then the size. Okay, good. All right, we got past that line. And then we get to here, and we said the MSU's KB attribute is not found. I'm gonna have to add this and remove it later. Oh well. KB equals, I'm just gonna put that number in there because whatever. Oh, is required when the permanent's not there. Okay, fine. Detect condition? I guess. Yeah, it'd be a good thing. It's recommended, even if you put blank. All right. So that compiled because we only went through the library, but it didn't go all the way through. That test already exists. I don't know, let's see. MSU package payload. Oh yeah, there is one, right? Thank you, Sean, for pointing that out. That yes, it already exists. I just need to bring the other parts to it. Right above the white where I put it. Can't get row payload. Let's verify this. Put it here. Go here. Give me the WXS files and the wixlib files. All right, went through the same experience there. So now, all right, so we're only getting so far through this. Pin. Was not found. It is required without attribute. Oh, now I need to add the, I had the download URL added here. We'll just add it again. Download URL p wix toolset.org /0. I still want to go look and see why it's replacing. Who's doing the replacement? Okay. No. Stop. I'm going back. All right. How far back do I have to go? I'm trying to undo back to where I had my MSU working. Yes, there. And then this is failing. Pin. Yes, great. So if I add one control Y, I get my detect condition back. And now we're back to a failure because it, or not. There we go. Great. Okay, so can get remote payload, can get remote payload with certificate. They're different. There I was trusting, but this one has the hash, which is fine. Don't add that. Use certificate switch and you get that. Here, now you get the one with the certificate switch, which has all the extra complications we're working through of making sure that, yeah, certificate public thumbprint. And now we would need to build this to get rid of the we need to actually build. So how much more do I need for a full bundle? Wait, I can use the simple. Yeah. Right. Okay. We have a pattern. No, that's more than I wanted. Where's the bundle with package group ref? Are you the one? Yes, minimal package group. I think I'm gonna want to use you. And I will compile with you and you. There we go. That's what I want. There. So what I can do is use the test that takes, oh, I need this test, this file. Okay, no, it's fine. Combine folder, that one, bundle with package group ref, bundle.wxs. All right, so that will give me the overarching bundle, and then I just have to generate my fragment so that it has this, I think, just this package group. And then I should be able to compile all the way out to a bundle file. And okay, did I get this fragment right? Okay, can build a certificate, good. Identifier Wix bundle package group was not found. Ensure you type the reference correctly and that all necessary inputs are provided to the linker. Oh, bundle package, is that the name of it? Yeah, it's bundle packages. It's not minimal. I don't know what minimal package group is, where it's used. All right, fine. So the name we need to use is not minimal package group, it's bundle packages. There, that rings a bell better. All right, great. Now we're compiling. All right, cannot find fake BA. That's fine. We will add our path to find that. So let's go see the other tests and see if there's control C. Let's go look at the other tests that use this pattern here and look at the bind paths I need. Yeah, I thought there'd be more. Let's give it an intermediate folder. I like that. Now that we're building something, and let's put the output, we'll put it in the intermediate folder, and base folder is the fs.get folder, which is just folder, output folder, fine. Okay, is that enough to get it to find the file? Yay! Hey, look at that. I keep assuming you guys can read this, but it's really small, I know. It now says the MSU cache ID attribute was not found. It is required when the publicly is specified. Woohoo! That's exactly the error that I wanted to get to with all of this. Wow, all right. This still feels wrong. There's gotta be a better way of putting these arrays together that I'm not thinking about right now. All right, so this is good. The MSU package needs a cache ID attribute. Oh, yeah, good. So now we have to add this. Looks really weird, a cache ID. And now we're passing. Boom. There. Awesome. It's ugly. I don't like what I did with that array stuff, but this is a great end-to-end test all the way to the cache ID for the MSU package. Now here, this one I can't do until I have the we wanted the sub command to generate the cache ID. I don't think the sub command can generate the cache ID because it doesn't generate the package element above it. So it can't, I don't think it can generate the cache ID. We'd have to provide all of the attributes that go on the XE or MSU package as inputs. We'd get the same cache ID, yeah? I don't know, have to figure out where that would go. Let's see, finish. Let's see, I want to get this test a little bit farther along. I think this is where that new C#7 feature is supposed to come in, where it's supposed to make writing these big long strings much prettier. So we did read all lines here so that we could get an array. Because I'm thinking I could do instead. If I hit enter, oh yes. Oh, I didn't want the plus, but that's okay. That's okay. I want to do, I guess the pluses would be okay. Yeah, the pluses would be okay. So this will be my, I don't want lines anymore. I want my output. What is this? My source, let's see, remote payload source text equals. Let's see how this looks. Format's a little nicer. MSU plus, and then where's my other ones? Here they are. I want you guys. Okay, so plus semicolon, string dot join, string please, thank you, string dot join, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Environment, new line, yes, oh, elements, how did you know? How did you know? IntelliSense, that was pretty smart actually. I need a plus, not a semicolon. File write all text, please. Remote payload source text. It's kind of a long name, but it's basically what I want. I think that looks, that's definitely easier to read. There we go. There we go. Oops. And then the last one. There we go. V3 is probably have to enhance the output of heat before you was used. Yeah, I think that's okay because this is not a common, like, definitely not something you want to do in the remote in your build lab, right? This is remote. You don't have it. Like, you do it once and then you bring it over. I mean, say that about some of the heat scenarios already, but this one definitely is not a run this all the time kind of thing. But it would be like getting that cache ID right is an interesting problem. So I think like one of the big options would be, if we want to get the cache ID specified, we need to put it up here. We need to generate this, and then I guess I don't need an ID. Let's see, what is the minimal I need? And eventually I won't need a KB. That's another issue to go fix, if I remember correctly. And then a detect condition is a good thing to have, so you don't install it all of the time. And we don't want to give it a blank one, so we can't really give it a detect condition because blank will satisfy this, right? Can't get remote payload certificate. Oh. Yeah. Yep, that's true. So I guess one option would be to suppress that warning in this test, but that's not the test problem. All right, so if we generate this element here, then for MSU package, it's not terrible. For XE package, it's pretty terrible. You have to add quite a bit, but I guess we could. Yeah. Yeah, all right. Okay, so I like this better. I like this much better. And then we're reusing that. So let's remote payload source text. Where is this? File. Okay, so remote payload says file, write the remote payload source text. There we go. Get the folder, combine all these things together, build, and then we get our bundle file. We're just going to trust that. Okay, that's great. So let's take this part and bring it down. Oh, okay, yes, to here. And let's get our XE kind of put together in it. And let's see what this looks like. XE package goes here. We're gonna need a cache ID on it too. I don't need to give it an ID because it's inside this group. It'll get one itself. And then I need to, yeah, close the XE package. That's the build, which was never going to work. That was generating it. XE package test. Let's see. Let's see. Where's my remote payload? There. Remote payload source file. Let's see. WXS file. We're not going to call it out. We're going to call it that. All right. Oh, what did I get wrong? Let's see. Why are we still not building? The bundle file. Oh, yes. Bundle file and intermediate folder. I need both of those as well, please. Yes. Okay. And that replaces the Wixlib file. There we go. All right, let's see. This test should now get farther, or it should be more interesting. Yeah, well, it's more interesting in that it's actually going to try to build a bundle when it gets there, but because we're getting compile errors because we don't support remote payloads, it does not. Because we don't support remote payloads only, then it's not going to get that far. Yeah, all right, great. So now I do feel like I can add this skip, go to the issues, and find the one remote payload. There it goes. Feature request support. Remote payloads, right. Blocked until blocked by this feature request. Support remote payload for payload elements. There we go. Cool. Woo. That's a lot of progress. Now this is going to fail if I don't add cache ID equals XYZ. Just drop that in there real quick, even though we're not validating it because we're not getting to the binder, so it can't get that far. All right, so MSU package would just need a detect condition, and exe packages for remote payloads need lots of things. Okay. So if we want to try to generate the cache ID for them to make it more likely that if two different people both run remote payload on the same exe that they'll get the same cache ID, then we have to generate the next layer up, the exe package element. I mean, that's just the way it is. So what would that look like in the remote payload subcommand? So the remote payload subcommand, wherever it's doing all the gathering of stuff, that's the remote payloads, expand input paths. Actually, I want to do something first. Download URL. Before we go too far, get the download URL, formatted URL. Oh, it is doing the format. Why is it doing the format? Probably doesn't need to, because the Wix toolset will do it for us later. Let's do less here. Just the download URL there, and let their jump go through. Aha, yes. Now we're gonna have a number of people that are like, our value changed, which is true. All right. So now, where'd download URL go here? Description, download URLs after that. Yeah. Yeah. So this should be then there, and keep the replacement. Yeah, that makes sense. I think. Wait, does remote payload replace these later? In the bundle? And it doesn't have the file, oh, it has the file name. So it's assuming that file name, which I guess is the name that we assumed before. Yeah, probably best to let burn do that. Probably best to let burn do the filling in for us. I think so. I think so. I think so. Now here, the download URL. Oh, that's ugly, isn't it? Yeah, that makes this interesting here. So if we delay the replacements, then we have this problem here where if you have subfolders, I expect this subfolder is going to be well, it's not going to be here. We're just going to have %0 left, and then it's going to replace the %0 with the b.dat. And that means that the subfolder where it came from was lost. And that doesn't seem like ideal. Maybe that's how this got to this point, was with subfolders you want to replace it. So I guess you could say if there are replacements, try to slip the subfolder in before them, but that's pretty challenging. And we don't have the source name to pull it. Does Burns backend do the whole name swapping backslash for slash? I hope it turns it into a URI, because that's what that code was doing. If the name had the full relative path. Right, but the name, actually, wait. Oh, is that a different bug? Is this missing? All right, that's interesting. Let's go. Oh, is this missing the relative name? I think it is. That's actually the bug, is that the subfolder's missing from here too. Although, oh yeah, right. So if we harvest it, you want the files to remain in their subdirectories. Yeah, that's gotta be a problem too. Let's go look at where it's getting subfolders. Oh wow, man, all kinds of fun stuff. Relative file names not used. Oh, it used to be. Yes, so there's the relative file name. All right, so where's name? So we use the payload symbols name. Where did that get set to? Payload symbols name, right here. Get file name. Ah, this needs to be relative, I think. So this is probably, yeah, this is stripping the relative path. All right, cool. I think that's it. So this, name. Okay, fine. Yes, so this needs to be this, I think, our path. Relative, the source path. I see, path. Okay, fine. It's all the same thing. Except I can't use source payload source because I have not defined it yet. So this is just path then. These two paths. There we go. All right. So that then will give us the relative names back. So this should be subfolder lack, subfolder lack, and then this should go to %0. Let's see. I think that's, let's see, did that get it right in the end? Nope, not quite. Exe package that download files. Oh, did I? No, I did files. Oh, recurse. Oh, there's a lot more to this relative path. So that's files %0 combine folder remote payload recurse star. Okay, so I probably oversimplified the get relative file name. No. Get relative file name is all those parts. All right, expected. Oh, no, the error message is about this first one. Let's look at the download URL. Files burn. This will be. All right, let's see if it works. I missed that one. Okay. Recurse file name. The payload is now, oh, remote payload recurse. Yeah, so this is, oh, it's not called subfolder. Okay, fine. That's interesting. Because that's well, wait a minute. What is this data file actually? What are we pulling from? Combine remote payload. Where is that folder? Test data for this test. Remote payloads recursive for the test data folder. Where did a.dat come from? recurse for this, for that, burn.exe, and then combine the folder remote pay. I see. So we also got the folders here, remote payload recurse. This is one of those interesting things because chances are they don't actually want remote payload recurse to be part of it. They only want the star part of it. Yuck. This is not much fun then. Yeah, there it is, remote payload recurse, and there's subfolder. Yeah, so yes, these should be subfolder. So right now we're getting this. Oops, subfolder. Subfolder. But chances are where they put that star, oh, I still didn't get it right. Oh, no? Actual, oh, files. Oh, I put the remote, did I? Yeah, okay, I put it wrong side. That's my download URL. This would get replaced as part of the %zeros. There we go. Yeah, all right. Yeah. But they probably didn't want this. They probably meant that. Everything inside this folder. Yeah, this is one of these options of do you include these things or not? The extra parts or not. Could also see that that's what they also wanted. Both of those are options, and this is why you get the like the command line switches on zip commands where you're like, do you want to include the relative path or not in when zipping? Or do you want to include, do you want to include the root path in when you're zipping? Don't really want to add all those switches here. Man, so many options. Wait a minute. What if I do that? Will that do it? Oh, I think I just did it. Yep, it's the base path. I already thought about this. You add it as a base path and it removes them. There it is. Fantastic. Look at that. All right. So the way the remote payload thing does, I just like forgot about this, is you just list the set of base paths you don't want. There we go. All right. So now we are not doing the resolution of the URLs here, and we're just going to let Burn do it, which is definitely much. That seems much smarter. It's like, yeah, put your download URL that you want in the code, which has all the options that Burn has, and then you're good to go. Great. Groovy. Okay, so now with that %0 coming through, then let's look at what it takes to wrap the top level element. So here, there are two references to this. Harvest the remote payloads, and then we harvest the file inside it. Okay. So, and what is this? This is the harvested file. So it has the element, the payload symbol, and the package payloads. The package payloads. All right, so based off of the package type. All right, so where did package type then go? where do we use that? That's null. Let's see. So we use it here to okay. We can set it. We can explicitly set it, or we can guess which one it is. Okay. And what are we using it for? Okay, we're setting this value. No, that's not it. All right, case only. Match case. I only care about this one. All right, so we initialize it to null. Didn't I say case only? All right, case only. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Huh. Oh, and then we do a switch. Oh, so if it's a bundle, do that. Got it. So we set it up here and then we only use it as a bundle. Got it. Okay, that's fine. So the thing is that it might be useful if we pass out, if we include this package type in the harvested file, then when we're up here, we would know what kind of element to wrap it in, which is essentially the same switch statement, but it's going to be a different name. I think that will work out well. So where do we set harvest file? Right at the end? Harvest file, yeah. So we could set the package type equal to package type. Said second, I guess. Will it still be null? I don't think it will be null by the time we get to that point, will it? Is there a way to get there? It's set to null. Oh, if it is a package, it might not be a package. It might be a payload name. Right, so it might be null. That's fine. My bad, my bad. It might be null. That means it's not a package. Great, so we can use that in the parent caller too. Harvested file. All right, so we have to calculate the cache ID, but let's harvest file. This dot package type. Okay. So I want to do here. Why not create the parent? Because let's see, do I have to? Do I not have to wrap them? I have to wrap them all, right? All the payloads have to end up wrapped inside this thing, I think. Unless I'm remembering wrong. Nope, not that one. I want... No. Ah. None of these payloads. I want the source code. Did that do it? Maybe it did. No, it did not. Am I remembering it wrong? I don't have to wrap the payloads with the parent element? I don't do many with the loose payloads, so I was like, I thought they had to be wrapped with the top element. So I was trying to get to that. Although I guess I have to get all the way out to here, actually, if I do that. Right? Yeah, because this is where they're getting flat. And I'm only getting the elements out of this thing. So even if I do send that package type back out to here, it doesn't go back far enough. I guess I could send out the harvested file, right? Yeah, I could send out the harvested file again to this guy. Now what do we do with the elements? Yeah, we write all the elements to string and all that to console. Right, or we write them out. Yeah, so I could return the harvest file all the way up. And then based on the first one, it's kind of, no, actually it's the last one in this case. That's, really? Get that one. And then the package payloads. Okay, I must be missing something. Yeah. How is it? This yield is confusing me, that's all. Oh, this is the package. Oh, this is the package payloads, that's why. And then everything else. Right, if it's a package payload, it returns here. Got it. Let's see how to get out of here. Can there be multiple? I guess there could be multiple package payloads. All right, wait a minute now. So how is this working? So we go look at the package payloads. We go through here, and this returns one harvested file. All right, let's go to my, oh, my skipped one's gone now, isn't it? All right, let's go back. I don't want most of these files that I have open. This one. My skip. Yeah, I want my skip back temporarily. Oh, and when I skipped it, it fell out of. All right, fine. Fine. You pin this. Thank you. Pin this and only show me the code covering this test. Yep. Yeah, everything's red. So let's look at this code and see what we get real quick. Can get remote payloads with certificates. Can get remote payloads with certificates. Debug this. Let's just look at it real quick. Yeah, go. All right, now we're down here. We're going to harvest these paths. It just so happens our exe is first and our cab is second. And that's probably because that's the order I put them in the command line. Yep. Let's flip them and just see what we get. Nope. Sorry, my mistake. Didn't even have F5. Debug. Go. Now let's look at our paths. Their orders are now switched. Yep, okay. And then in the paths, we're gonna harvest this file. This should be the, oh, that's null? Okay. That path found burn.exe and that found the file. Okay. And we get this element as a payload, not as an exe package. Okay. Well, that was odd. That was not what I expected it to do at all. All right, all the way back to my test code, please. Thank you. Oh, and it was not successful. All right, the first remote payload must be a supported package type. Exe package. Okay, fine. You used it wrong, Rob. It must be, so the first thing must be the thing you're harvesting. All right, great. That's fine. Okay, well, that solves that question. We have an error message for it. Okay, so now just run. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna go harvest the file. And presumably, Oh, the result drop. It's an exe, yeah, all that kind of good stuff. So we know that. So we would yield that, and then we write that line out, okay? And then we go and get the next one, which is our signed cab. And it returns its file. Oh, I see, we're doing a select, so it's delayed. That's why it looked weird. All right, fine. So delayed execution. This returns a yield. Okay, fine, right. And it doesn't ask for them right away. Okay, well that's, all right. So that's interesting. So if I return the harvest file here, then I should be able to put all these children into that. I think that sounds right. I think that sounds right. Is that not harvest file? Did I get the harvested? Whatever. All right. Fine. Let's just do that. And then switch child elements. That's not going to work, but it's kind of what I want. So how much do I do here? Do I just select the package element, I guess? Yeah. All right. The alternative is to do all that in here. Or actually to do it here. Okay. Let's see. It's gonna be something like this. I'm basically gonna take all this and this dot x paths. Didn't look. What was I passing in before? Input paths. Great. Thank you. All right, so we get all the child elements with their paths. We switch on the package type of the parent. Yeah, if we have it, okay. Bundle, case, XC, case, MSU, default, return, null, because we don't know what the answer is. I can't do this, but we'll get something else. Commas. What am I doing here? All right. Now I want to set their package type. Oh, I'm running out of time again. So many things to have been found here. And this is a bundle. What's this called? Bundle package? Right, it's just bundle package, right? Yeah, bundle package, XE package, yeah, just no payload. Yeah. Yep. All right. new element. Okay, fine. MSU package, thank you, and XE package name. And then we have to set the cache ID, but before we do that, element dot child elements dot add child elements, return element. All right. Why are we not burning? The elements does not exist in the current. Correct. Console.WriteLine element.toString. All right, so instead of returning an array of strings that we have to then write all of them to disk, we're going to wrap them all up in one element, hopefully, if everything works. If we did not encounter an error, are we building, we're going? Yeah, all my tests are going to fail now because they're going to say, hey, you have a parent element above everything. All these tests are going to be upset. Let's look at one that we know pretty well here. We expected that. What we actually got was, oh, and that add did not work at all. Let's see. You could see here it says it added the harvested file. Oh, that's why. That makes sense. This needs to be, this is not child elements. This is child, what do you call it? Harvested files. Select h.element. Let's see, is that better? Please show me something a little bit better. I want to see MSU package with XML inside it. I did. There we go. Let's go slam this. I know we're out of time, but I'm going to take one more shot at this. MSU package. I think that's the first element. Boom, 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 boom. Please be kind of correct. 2 spaces. Fine, I'm comfortable with that. And then the third line is trimming that. Okay, I'm not sure this is fine. I think the other test did some trimming or something around that, but that's okay. Let's see. Aha, there we go. Cool. Woohoo! All right, so we now have our wrapper element that we're spitting out. It's not complete. It needs a cache ID on it. So that's where we're going to pick up next week, is getting the cache ID on that parent element, updating all these tests to get them in place, and then I think we may be finally done with this thing. Man, that turned out to be way more complicated than I anticipated. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good time. This has been it's been a good adventure. Last week, I have to admit, I was a little disappointed in how things did not go well. This time, I was better prepared for this thing to be kind of challenging, and so I'm now a little bit happier about where we're at, what we got through, and kind of straighten some of this stuff out. And next week, I do think we'll finish this. So until then, you guys keep coding. You know I am.